This is going to be the shortest intro ever on Friendly Geordies before the annoying music, but I think all I could say is, at least we tried. I think the first thing to say is to all the liberal trolls who are like, how does it feel? Suck shit! My team won! You do realise that a liberal government benefits me, right? So to quote DJ Khaled, congratulations, you played yourself by giving the liberals another one. But to everybody that's going, what the fuck is wrong with New South Wales? It's filled with dumb cunts. I'm moving to Norway. First off, usually I see that those people are from Newtown, so good. But second, no you don't. The Labour Party won the popular vote, and that is in spite of the biggest media assault I have ever seen in studying politics for 10 years. The only thing that is comparable to it is the media's full-scale assault on Bernie Sanders to prop up their corporatist puppet Hillary Clinton. That is the best comparison to what Michael Daley experienced in the last week of the election, which means that they were shitting themselves at their puppet, which is just Hillary Clinton if she looked like one of those Greek harpies. She only won because of the most universally accepted, dirtiest smear campaign I've ever seen, and gerrymandering. Because they've realigned all of the electorates to favour them. And, you know, the Labour Party does that, the Liberal Party does that, obviously whoever's in power does, but that's what actually saved them. That and the mainstream media in unison attacking Daley. As always, when everyone goes, ABC's so left-wing, why do they support the Liberal Party then? Why were they just going, oh my god, is Michael Daley a racist because he used the word Asian, which actually was a compliment to them because he was saying that they're extremely educated due to the policies of China, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Singapore, all heavily investing in education while the Liberals have been gutting education for the last 20 years. So Australians are at the same level as Kazakhstan. That's kind of an Asian country. That is what sunk Michael Daley at the end of the day, because the Liberal camp was thinking, shit, we only thought that 2 seats were contestable in Sydney, but it turns out that there was 4, and 2 of those seats are heavily populated with Asians. But the thing is, at the end of the day, those stood strong. You know why? Because the only people that care about like the, oh my god, racism, sexism line are white people. Asians saw that comment and went, wait, he's saying we're more educated? So he's just stating a fact? Okay, on with my day. It was only white people that went, oh my god, I don't know any Asians, but I assume they'd be upset. I honestly thought I should be focusing on those comments in the last week, and now I'm kicking myself for not doing it. I decided instead to keep focusing on policy, to try and drill into people that this is not what the election is about. The election is not whether or not using the word Asian is a slur. It's about 1,000 native species that are going to go extinct now. It's about the Murray-Darling being permanently damaged. It is about your tax dollars being used to do favours, huge favours for the Liberal Party's donors in construction, like setting up WestConnex, which is going to do nothing but bottle traffic and force the poorest citizens, a lot of them Asian, now being forced to pay $200 a week to the Liberal Party's donors in Transurban. If the general public knew what the election was actually about, instead of, well, Gladys looks like a nice lady. I mean, she combs her hair, while Michael Daley looks like the guy that plays the piano at David Jones. But can he play the electorate? Without fail, the mainstream media treats the election as a horse race. Just, oh, they're a bit up in the polls now. Now they're a bit down. What's all that about? Well, I think it's the fact that Michael Daley looked a little bit weak in a debate that nobody in the fucking country saw. They are the ones that explain to the public what the election is about, and every single time the election is, do you think Gladys has a nice smile? Yes or no? But most people saw through that, and I think that is a huge testament to the Australian public, because if those people that did vote Liberal actually knew what the Liberals' agenda was, they wouldn't have voted Liberal. It's not that they're bad people. They just go to the polls on election day going, ah, fuck, this is my Saturday. Look at this line. Well, I don't know. That one's got a nice picture, tick. Like every state election, it was a combination of the fact that all establishment media, from the fucking Batuta to Alan Jones, was attacking Michael Daley. But Batuta's a parody site! Yeah, a parody site that hundreds of thousands of idiots who treat it as news watch. And they just repeated exactly what the mainstream media was saying. Shame. Most people are like my girlfriend. All a family member has to say is vote this way, and they go, okay, that's all you have to do next time. I've got a friend whose boyfriend lives in Vaucluse. That seat is the Sideshow Bob gag of...
And the results are in for Sideshow Bob 100%, for Joe Quimby 1%. And we remind you there is a 1% margin of error.
All she had to say to break generations of them voting Liberal was, you know, it'd be pretty sexy if you voted Labor anyway. Well, fuck my parents. That was the end. That broke generations of thought. And guys who have those girlfriends that just like, I don't know, just say vote Labor. They'll go, okay. Yeah, it was a defeat. If there was any proper coverage whatsoever of that election, Michael Daley would have smashed it. They most certainly did not win on policy. For example, how Ben Fordham was interviewing Michael Daley and just went, so you said on Alan Jones' show that they took out the sprinklers of the stadium, but they didn't, did they? Admit it. Really hammering him on that. Then when it came out that Michael Daley was right all along and it was just obvious that you could refurbish the stadium for a seventh of the price, he didn't even have to do that because the chief architect said it's fine. Ben Fordham's coverage that day was, and also Michael Daley, I mean, why are his cheeks red? Do you reckon he's an alco? Or is he just sunburned? No, he's probably an alco. So the fact that they won the popular vote is remarkable and means that most people in New South Wales are woke. And it's just a matter of time. Honestly, the mainstream media gets more and more, to quote Rice Gum, irrelevant. Every year that it ticks over, more and more people are seeing through that the Liberal Party doesn't actually have a plan. All it does is serve the interests of the elite. That becomes more and more obvious over time. And they will probably get back in after the usual ebb and flow of politics. That's fine. But in general, I am confident that as time moves on and news becomes more digitized and independent, the Labor Party will be having more victories than the Liberal. In this century, you'll probably see that it'll be flipped completely on its head. That the Labor Party will be in power 70% of the time, while the Liberals will be in power 30% of the time. And honestly, that's a good thing for everyone. Obviously, the people that voted Liberal don't know it, because most of them, I can guarantee you, would not benefit from a Liberal government. They were mostly dudes wearing speed dealer sunglasses with a singlet on, folding their arms with like a Holden Commodore in the back going, what a sick car. It's actually not that good of a car. Shut the fuck up, it's the best I can afford. And I guess the other factor is minor parties are eating into Labor's vote. And it doesn't matter which side of the spectrum you go. You go to One Nation, you go to Greens, Keep Sydney Open, Independents, they all eat away from the Labor Party. Because anybody who's voting for the Liberal Party is not thinking about politics at all. Then you've got that next layer of people who think, they're both fucked. My third eye. I don't think it's as bad at all those minor parties. As long as they're preferencing Labor, that's a win-win as far as I'm concerned. The only thing that I will say is that everybody going that Keep Sydney Open killed the Labor Party. True, they did take a lot of votes away from the Labor Party, but they took way more votes away from the Greens. So how does it feel? Look, honestly, I'm a fan of the Greens. Not in New South Wales. I mean, Bob Brown isn't a fan of the Greens in New South Wales. And I'm a fan of Bob Brown. What a love triangle. But in general, their little snarky attacks on the Labor Party of being like, the Greens are more pure. Yeah, because you're never going to be in power, so you can say whatever the hell you want. And I respect a lot of the people that fight for the Greens. I like the fact that they're an environmental pressure group in Parliament. That's all great. If there's a coalition government, fine, as long as it's not the Liberal government. That is pretty much what this whole channel is about. For the love of God, convince as many people as you know, your aunties and everyone else, don't vote Liberal. That's all it is. And if Keep Sydney Open got to the Greens position, there'd be another party that's nipping at their heels being like, well, yeah, okay, so they want Sydney to be open 24 hours a day. We want the day to be expanded to 27 hours a day and for it to be open that whole time. The German Techno House Party. Honestly, I was happy if people voted Greens or Keep Sydney Open. I was especially happy about Jeremy Buckingham. And when the mainstream media is always going, oh, these minor parties are really eating into the major parties. No, they're not. They're just eating into the Labor Party because you just keep sitting there just hypnotizing into people going, what do I do, God? Establishment. What? It means vote Liberal. Vote Liberal. But at the end of the day, if this were a game of Cluedo, it was Colonel Alan Jones using the weapon of the audio recording of Michael Daley saying the word Asian in September of last year. That's clearly what killed them in the election. And that is a huge tragedy for virtually everyone except me, frankly, because I've got someone to bitch about for the next 4 years. The Liberal government! Stay tuned, like and subscribe, make sure you give me more money to Patreon for, you know, fighting of the power. And come see my live show, Why John Howard Really Sucked. I'm currently in the Workers' Paradise, Melbourne, where coffee costs $7.50, and even though they're always going, have you tried it? It's so much better than Sydney's. It's really not, it's just coffee.
Please share and comment below. Comment.